Hey, you there. Yes, you. Do you like meth? Oh my god, me too. I love meth even more than I love rice. But did you know that taking meth and other types of drugs can be harmful to you? Shocking, right? Well, unfortunately, it's very true. Meth and other drugs can be extremely harmful to those who take it. Take too much, and you'll start to become like this guy from the previous slide. Very old, white gray hair, coughing, sick. No one likes to be him. Or even worse, you might turn up like this teacher. But anyways, today you'll be hearing one of the most disorganized presentations about the impact of methamphetamines and other drugs. And this is actually the second time I'm recording this presentation. The first time I went over time by about 30 minutes, which is not ideal. And I also missed the mark with the presentation completely. But don't worry, this time it's going to be different. It's going to be better. Version 2, version 2.1. This time I'm going to be on topic. It's going to be within the time limit, maybe. Who knows? Anyways, so this presentation is going to go over everything I've learned throughout my course project, or whatever this is called. And I'm going to package it kind of like a video essay. And by the end of my course project, I came to a conclusion which I want to enforce on all of you, or at least convince you of. And that conclusion is that our approach to illicit drugs in Western countries is flawed. And I'll be proving this again with all of the knowledge in my course project, and hopefully maybe at the end you will have learned something. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. I already started my presentation, but let's get into the meat of it. Alright, so with the interest of saving time, I'm going to be speed running through the rest of my presentation, which is pretty much all of it. So here's the agenda. We're going to cover these things. We're going to cover the main problems with meth, which is the first 3 points, and then I'll offer a little bit of a solution or ways to mitigate the problems at the end of each of those 3 points, and at the very end, solutions that different countries are using. Let's get into it. So impact on humans first. So what happens to you when you take meth? I'm no loser biology major, but I can explain briefly what happens, not on not very detailed or very accurate, but I will just give a general overview. So basically what happens is that the main effect that methamphetamines has is that it rewires your brain. It rewires your dopamine centers, which makes you dependent on the drug for dopamine. That's what addiction's all about. And it's very bad. You also get debilitating hallucinations, not like those fun ones where you're dreaming of your crush asking you out. No, it's one of those where you see bugs through your skin and it causes you to scratch through your skin and down to your bone, even killing some people like that. So it's very, very bad, not very fun. So what can be done about this? Well, we can help people's withdrawal symptoms by supporting them. We can give people an escape from the drug industry. A lot of people, when they first take the drugs, they step just a little bit forward, get pushing themselves towards the drug, and then eventually they fall into that abyss of that world of drugs, and there's no escape from them, because if they even try to, they might get arrested and stuff like that. And a lot of people who die from drug-related incidents die from infections because of unclean supplies or because of faulty equipment. So if we gave these people clean needles, very, very good, can reduce death by a lot. So, our next point is going to be about the environmental concerns associated with meth. Alright, so, doing some quick maths, if you didn't know this already, 1 pound of meth produced will produce also about 6 pounds of toxic waste as byproduct. And I'll put that in perspective. Let's take 500 million metric tons of meth. That's the amount estimated by the US government that's the amount of meth that's being produced illegally in the United States alone. So if we take that 1 ton is equal to 2,204.62 pounds, 1.1 times 10 to the 12 pounds of meth is being produced every year, with 6.6 times 10 to the 12 pounds of toxic waste produced. Oh my god, pretty stinky if you ask me. That's 6.6 trillion pounds of toxic waste. And if you don't know how much that is, well, let's take the biggest mountain in the world, Mount Everest. I love this mountain. Very big, very large. Largest one in the world. Weighs around 350 trillion pounds. I don't know how they put that thing on a scale, but trust me on this, it's legit. That means after around 50 years of meth production at this rate, 6.6 trillion pounds a year, after 50 years, we will have a Mount Everest sized amount of toxic waste for the Earth to deal with. The Earth has been through worse, but damn, that's going to be pretty hard to deal with. And these toxic wastes go on to pollute our rivers and our just the ecosystems around. They get dumped haphazardly by these if you're a crackhead making meth in your mom's basement, the being environmentally friendly is on like the bottom of your list of concerns. It's you're not really going to be concerned with safe waste disposal. So they end up you end up pouring it, or they'll end up pouring it down the sinks, down the toilets. It'll end up in the sewer supplies, into our rivers. Very, very bad. It's going to affect all of us. So what can be done? Well, really nothing. Companies, we can regulate to push them through more environmentally friendly solutions, because we have that control. We can say, hey, if you do this, we'll incentivize you to do that, or you can't. It's illegal to do that. But the thing is, drug dealers, they don't really care, or drug manufacturers, they don't care at all, because what they're doing is already illegal. We can't really control them if we can't control what they're producing to begin with. So, and since we can't even target them, we need to remove them altogether to protect their environment, and also to protect the people. But to be honest, the people are not really important, eh? So we can remove these illicit manufacturers by removing the need for them, and I'll get to that in a minute, by what I mean by that, because it's not complicated at all, and it's also maybe not even accurate, but we'll get onto that in a minute. And it can also be argued that meth is actually good for the environment, because methamphetamines kills people, and people are the main cause of environmental problems in the world. But we will not be concerned with that. We will assume that human lives are worth more than the environment for now. So anyways, let's move on. We will move on to my third point: economic incentive for drug dealers or people really in the drug industry to continue working. Now, I love money and you love money, and these drug people, they love money, and because it's one of the only things that are really good about the drug industry. Look at all of these bad things about drug, and there's not really that many free. I mean, yeah, you get free drugs, but it's not great. But the money you would be able to make, maybe it just balances out all of those bad things. So let's take a look at it. How much are the drug manufacturers making? Well, if you bought $1,000 worth of meth ingredients from your grocery store or your hardware stores, you would be able to make $20,000 of methamphetamine, like just raw methamphetamines, which you can sell, and that is a markup of 20 times. That's a lot. That is a lot. It's a markup Jeff Bezos would be super jealous of. To put that into comparison, like a markup of a bottle of soda, which is quite heavily marked up already, is like 5 times or like 8 times or something like that. So 20 times is just insane. I guess it's worth it for the jail time. Yeah. The thing is that we don't have like a specific amount or like statistic for how much the drug dealers are making. Not drug manufacturers are making, because they don't really report this, but it can be assumed that they're making perhaps an obscene amount of money with this information. So how much are the drug dealers making? They're the people who buy the drug from the manufacturers, or get the drug or somehow, and they sell it to other people, and that's how it gets in the hands of common folk. Now it's estimated that in a study in the 2000s, it was 2001 or something, like early 2000s. It's estimated that drug dealers were making on average $20,000 to $30,000 USD, adjusted for inflation. That is $32,000 to $48,000 US dollars in 2021 November 14th money, and that's around the median income of $39,000. So it's but that can be on top of like an additional income source. Drug dealers may not do this full time, as I said before, or as was shown before, they can set their own hours and do their own thing. It's the freedom's also part of the good part of the job. So, what can be done to mitigate the economic incentive? Well, I'll explain this through a very short lesson on supply and demand. So, look at these two things. Supply and demand, they're equal. Like, look at that. Their size of these texts are equal. That means the price is stable. But look at here. Demand is so much bigger than supply. Oh my god. Guess what happens to the price? It goes up. It's as big as the demand here because there's not enough to go around. But what if supply is so much bigger? Well, if supply is so much bigger than demand, then the price will be as small as the demand here because there's so much of the supply. They need to lower the price of it to get people to buy it. Now, the current laws on drugs, they mitigate the supply. They're doing a pretty good job on that. But the thing is, the demand is still there, and thus the price of meth is going up. And more people are saying, "Hey, we got to get out on this. We got to produce some. We can make a lot of money." So that's how the supply keeps increasing, and the demand is still like that's how the drug cycle is going to continue. So in order to remove the economic side of things, we need to target demand at its source, which is also how we fix the environment. So let's now move on to some of the solutions that other countries are doing. And before was like, we're done the 3 points now. Hopefully I'm not over time right now. Let me check my watch real quick. Okay, that is not good. All right, we'll quickly cover this as well before. Oh shit! Sorry, I just dropped my things. We'll quickly cover this before stopping. All right. So our first country of the day is going to be America. Now, America, when they had their drug problems, their solution was the war on drugs. They tightened their belts. They harshened the penalties for any for drug-related incidents. They incarcerated so many more people, and it didn't work. Didn't work at all. Not like their policies really. They tightened their belts. Yes, they placed laws, but when you tell a meth addict, hey, stop taking meth, that's kind of like telling me to stop eating rice. Like, if there's a bag of rice next to me, I'm going to cook that whether you like it or not. I live in Rev, and they banned rice cookers. I have a rice cooker under my bed right now. I am breaking the law, but there's nothing you can do to stop me because I'm addicted to rice. Same way as how drug people are addicted to their drugs. You can't really do that. And also, this war on drugs had another unintended effect that they probably didn't see coming. A lot of people viewed it as a racial attack against the black people in America at the time. If you can read the sign, it says war on drugs. This guy's missing his on, but a war on drugs is a war on us, and it's very that was the sentiment back then, because a lot of the penalties for the drugs that more black people the drugs that black people took more, were the penalties for those drugs were harsher than the penalties for the drugs white people stereotypically took. So it was a whole catastrophe. No one took it seriously. It didn't help at all. America's better now though, so that's something good at least. All right, so our next country is China, and with China, it was it's hard to say if their methods actually worked, but it's mainly because China's like government, they don't really release information, so I can't really tell you, say like some bad things about them, and you get like negative 30 million social credit points. It's pretty bad. Like, after this presentation, I'm gonna assume like my family's gonna be deported from China or something like that. So, or probably in prison. Who knows, even these days. So what makes China's their policies were even harsher than America's policies, but in my opinion, they actually kind of worked. So what is the difference between China and America? Well, mainly it's the different demographic. China is more focused on the collective rather than the individual, while America is the complete opposite. It's the individual rather than the collective. So when China introduces something like America would be like, oh my god, like the death penalty for dealing weed, that's terrible, that's authoritarian. But unfortunately in China, you don't really get the right to protest. Like, just think about that one incident that I will not name, where a certain protest went wrong in Tiananmen Square. But anyway, that's China's at least in my experience, every time I go back to China, every time I've lived in China for quite a while, I haven't had any experiences with any drugs other than alcohol and smoking. But that's problems for another time. All right, so we're completely out of time. Switzerland, third country. I've been there. Very nice, very good fondue cheese they have here. Very good, and their banks are actually kind of trash now, but it's a discussion for another time as well. Anyways, their policies, they had a huge drug problem back in the, I believe, the 70s or the 80s or something, and they implemented a radical program. They were called the Four Pillars, and they centered around the four pillars you see right here: prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and enforcement. And they centered their policies around these four morals or goals rather. And this actually yielded so much better results. With their program, they gave like clean needles and paraphernalia to people. They gave them cocaine dispensaries and meth. Like they were open so people could engage in this thing safely. And this actually worked because I it's helping people escape from that bubble and helping people recover. And I really like Switzerland's idea for drugs, for combating the drug thing here, because it's kind of like that saying where you give a man a fish and he is fed for a day, but you teach a man to fish and he's fed for a lifetime. So they're not just giving this man they're giving him the tools he needs to better himself and get out of his meth addiction if he wants. They're giving him the rod, they're giving him the bait, they're giving him the hook, they're teaching him how to fish with counseling and stuff. It's great, and he's gonna be able to fish. Look at him, he's so much happier with his fish. He has a food supply. He's gonna do great in this world. Meanwhile, this guy, he just has the fish, he just has the drugs, and he's not happy, because drugs doesn't really truly make you happy. It's money that truly makes you happy. Anyways, I just really like that saying. What we're sort of and by not really there's also another saying: give a man a poisoned fish and he is fed for the rest of his life. And I'll give you a minute to think about that. It's a good saying. It's kind of I think that's kind of similar as to what we're doing in the Western countries. Anyways, this is just the key. Oh yeah, I forgot this slide was even here. I was going to switch to this. No worries. Anyways, conclusion. We're almost done. We're just going to wrap this up, and somehow maybe I can get a 60 on this, hopefully. All right. Main core of the presentation and my entire course project: we need to reform our approach to substance abuse, because people dependent on drugs, drug addiction, and destroying them. Harsh laws do not work. We need to take the war, not a war on drugs is a war on the people who take the drugs, really. We need to stop branding this as a war. We need to help these people, because people are important, because people can make money. Money's important. The environment also takes a hit. Not super important, but I mean, come on, global warming, it also contributes to that. It's pretty bad. So it's just a nice bonus. If we get rid of drugs, we also get rid of the impact on the environment. And the drug manufacturing is also too profitable. It keeps incentivizing people to go and produce drugs. But if we change the mentality, if we have people recover, as they did in Switzerland, the people, the main target audience for drugs goes down and down, and soon enough the drug issue won't be a problem anymore. Yeah, so here's some possible reforms that we could maybe implement in some nearby societies. So instead of placing wait, this is actually kind of wrong here, but whatever. Instead of making all drugs illegal, make it safe for those who possess and use dangerous substances to get help. Something like Alcoholics Anonymous, but for meth. And here's some name suggestions. My favorite is the Meth Head Menagerie. I was really proud of that one. But yeah, that's those are some possible, and of course we can take inspiration from Switzerland, or even maybe China's policies, if it comes down to it. Anyway, I think that's the end. Very over time. I'm very, very sorry about that. But yeah, hopefully this was at least mildly educational, and hopefully you agree with me. Otherwise, I may just feed your family meth. Have a good day.